In this video clip, I will discuss how the iPonic 600 controls CO2 in a grow room. By default, CO2 equipment are assigned to output number 2. It can be moved to any other outputs as needed, which we'll cover in a subsequent video clip. For now, let's leave it on output 2. So for CO2, this area here shows the current reading of the CO2. In this case, 1592 ppm is the current CO2 reading in this room. There's a target of 1900 ppm. So it should injecting CO2, trying to raise it up to 1900. That's why you see the word active here. CO2 maintenance mode is active. The way to change these settings is by the following sequence. You click OK, you go into current set point, you click OK, you get a choice, you can select option 3, which is a CO2 set point, click OK on that. You get 3 period. The way that the iPonic works is you have, in a given 24-hour period, you have day, night, and diff. Day is always when the lights are on, night is when the lights are off, and diff is yet another time period that you can use. Usually people use it as kind of like the dawn period, where you can change any of the growing parameters to affect the plants. In this case, normally we leave the diff as disabled, but you can turn them on if you like. In this case, let's go to day, which is the day set point. You click on there. CO2 target, as we've seen earlier, is 1900 ppm. Let's say we want to increase it to 2000. So I click OK. 1900. So I'm going to change my increment by pressing 1. So you go to 10, press it, go to 100. It allows me to go to 2000 quicker. Now go 2000, click OK. Now my target is now 2000. So the injection will last longer. It will raise it, elevate the level, CO2 level in the room to 2000 ppm. Let's go back in it again. Current set point, CO2 set point, day set point, 2000. I go to 2 for night, click OK. It is at a much lower CO2 level, which makes sense because the plants, they don't need CO2 at nighttime. You can press this button 7 to set set time. Click on that, and here you can set the time to when day start 6 a.m. and when night start 11 p.m. You click set day 6 a.m. and you can same way click night to set 11 p.m. Go back on it. So between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. it will elevate the CO2 level to 2000 ppm. From 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. it will allow it to go down to 400 ppm or lower. I click back. One of the option is a global CO2 setting. You click in there, it will send you to this screen, which is important. You got a CO2 deadband of 2500 ppm. That's kind of tells the system how tight you want to maintain the CO2 level. There's a CO2 cutoff when the lights are off, meaning with this mode active, then anytime the lights are off, you just stop injecting CO2. Doesn't matter what the night set point is, the CO2 light will get, the CO2 injection will be cut off because of the light. Same thing down here, you got a fan cut off. Anytime the ventilation fan equipment is on, you're exchanging air with the outside. So in order to preserve or conserve the amount of CO2, you want to stop injecting when the fans are running. There's another important parameter called CO2 cycle setting. When you use a CO2 injection mode, for example, like you're injecting CO2 from a tank, then you want to pulse the injection. So in this case, it's 10 seconds on, pulse, and then wait for 30 seconds. If you happen to use a CO2 generator, then you don't want to cycle. So here, you want to go into here to off, click OK, and you can set this time to 0. That's how you turn off this CO2 cycle mode. And here is CO2 Fuzzy Logic setting. it's default off, but you can turn it on and the unit will intelligently modify the injection behavior to maintain the CO2 level more accurately. Go ahead and click home. So again, you can see here the level is low, below the target, so it's injecting CO2 right now. But let me show you the light cutoff. So if the light is on, I'm going to force the light off, and you can see the CO2 output get cut off at the same time. I'm going to allow the light to turn back on again. Again, you see the power cool down timer active here. So once you go down to 0, the light comes on, the CO2 comes back on, being active again. Same way, we have a ventilation fan here. Let's say I'm going to simulate the fan on by forcing it on. Now you're exchanging air with outside. You can see that the CO2 is off now. It's saying fan cut. If I go to auto, which in this mode here the vent fan is off, then the CO2 is now once again active. So that's how the iPonic 600 controls the CO2 devices.